Now everybody hit your got it button. We are recording. So Jason, Absolute Home Inspections. Rumor has it that you are an old friend of Cody's.
Yeah, I think me and Cody go back probably about a decade or so. Does that sound right, Cody?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, we kind of found each other through long distance triathlon and became friends that way. Feels like forever ago, but yes.
Yeah, I saw an ad for he was selling a bike, and Jason's a little bit more of a man than I am, so it didn't fit me very well, but we became friends.
That's a great story. So it's funny how people come into your life and you just gel and you vibe, and then you get to do business together. So tell us a little bit about your history and how you got started in the home inspection business.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. We've been here in Vegas now for about 16 or 17 years. Me and my wife, and we're about to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thank you. A little bit about us. We've got 2 children who are grown now and 5 grandchildren. And so we've got a local community here of family, which has been wonderful. It's been terrific. I got started in home inspection, believe it or not, because I bought 5 or 6 homes here in Las Vegas, some of them for residents and some of them for investments. And I use the same realtor every time. And during that process of buying the homes, she used the same home inspector. And so over a decade of time, had the opportunity to meet with this guy and chat with him and kind of learn what he was doing. And we became friends, and I learned quite a bit and decided that it was a business I wanted to follow and had a passion for.
I think it's very interesting how home inspection has become such an integral part of the transaction because, I remember when I started in real estate 30 years ago, we didn't do home inspections.
Sure.
So the home inspection actually happened at the walkthrough, which is crazy to think of, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
at the walkthrough, you would go through, you would test everything. We had no idea what we were looking for, what we were testing, but we put on our little home inspector hat, then we would ask for repairs at that point. So the progression of the home inspection and where it's come and how meaningful it is in a transaction, and the fact that you can get that right out of the way in the beginning of the transaction is so important. You guys, we depend on the home inspector quite a bit. So you've been in the business for 16 years in Las Vegas?
Yeah, we haven't been in business for 16 years. We've only been in business for a couple of years, 3 or 4. And then I worked with a master inspector prior to that. And so we're just starting to grow. We've got 2 inspectors besides myself with the company. And we've been here for 16 years. And yeah, so it's been going terrific. I am, unfortunately, we've grown so fast that I haven't been able to keep up, which is of course the problem you want to have.
Good problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Well,
it's been great.
that a little bit. What are the core values of your company of Absolute Home Inspection? Why do you think you've grown so fast?
Ours is, in all honesty, it's communication. So for us as home inspectors, what we're really doing is that we are providing a service of information to the clients. And it's our job to go and do that walkthrough and do that inspection and gather all the information and then be able to communicate it in a non-threatening way so that they understand what they're looking at before they have to make that final decision of buying the house. And so I think
Can I stop you there for 1 second?
Yeah, of
Because
course.
it's really important to note 2 words that you said, which is actually 1 word, but non-threatening, right?
Yes.
Because there are home inspectors that I've encountered on the streets
Yeah.
that either fall in the deal breaker category, right?
Sure.
There's deal makers and there's deal breakers, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that that information is communicated in a non-threatening way because it's just a discovery, right? And there's a solution to every discovery. It's just a matter if it can be negotiated in the sale between that in particular buyer and that in particular seller. So the world's not, the sky's not falling down. The world's not going to end. It's just simply a discovery, and here are some options.
Yeah, and I think you've nailed it, and we're saying exactly the same thing. It's about gathering the information, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes that information means something different to one buyer versus another buyer. So all we do is in home inspection is that we provide that information, and it's not our job to decide what that information means. It's just our job to provide it, and so that's what we do. You had asked earlier why we've been so successful at it, and to be honest with you, it's the walk and talk for us. So A typical home inspection takes about 2 hours. And then we really, really encourage the buyer and the agent to show up at the end of the inspection and join us for about a 30-minute walk and talk. And that's that opportunity to have that one-on-one conversation. Hey, I've seen this over here. Here's what it means. Here's what it doesn't mean. It's not a big deal. Or, hey, maybe we need some more information about that type of stuff.
Mhm.
That's that opportunity to really make sure that the buyer understands. The reality is that, as we know, the reality is those reports are scary. You get a report and there's arrows and pictures and links. And if we rely solely on that, we scare a lot of people just by the vast information. And
Mhm.
so to kind of recap it back, our true success has been based on that ability to have those conversations one-on-one with the buyer, with the agent, making sure they're there, making sure they understand what they're looking at.
So I love that. On my team, we actually follow that exact procedure. We do like to get in on that last half hour. Another thing that we find is that, guys like you that are really good, that like you're doing it to be of service to the client, truly to be of service. Sometimes buyers will just, learn how to use operating systems in the house that they might not have ever had the privilege of having before, or, might be new to them, whether it's a water softener, whatever it is. Right.
Yeah, and we love brand new buyers. So we love the opportunity to work with somebody who's moving into their first home, because
Mhm.
it's a chance for us to show them some stuff and to really educate them. We'll show them how to turn off the water and the electric and the gas in case of emergencies. And, we'll have some conversations about sealant and things that we should be doing on an annual basis as new homeowners. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to learn that. And so it's a it's a great chance for us to make that connection and to work with them. So yes, agreed.
So smart. I wish you would have done my son's first home inspection. Bought his first house at 24 years old. He's been there for a year.
Hey,
The kid has over $150,000 in equity right now, so
yeah.
he's not doing bad. But I still get those phone calls. Mom, my power bill is $250 this month. Well, that's because it's August, Hunter. True first time home buyer. Um,
Yes.
so you think it's important for the agent to be there? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I want to have that communication. I want you to hear what I'm saying to your client, because it's your client, and I want you to be a part of that. And a lot of times you're going to have feedback that I'm not going to have. You've been working with this client on a daily basis. You've been showing them homes, and you're going to be able to kind of steer some of those conversations to make sure that we're addressing what needs to be addressed. So while I might see something that seems like an issue that we should talk further about, you might have already had that discussion on several of the levels, and you're going to tell me, hey, it doesn't matter, we're pulling all the carpet out. Oh, great. I'll
Right.
stop talking about carpet. Why are we talking about carpet? So I think it's important. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be gone and you and the client are going to be there together. So it's important that you were part of that information and part of that discussion. Absolutely.
Do you see a high percentage of agents actually showing up, or
They
what's
do
what?
with me. Yeah. Yeah. We really stress it. It's a rarity that an agent isn't there. We have a lot of investors now, as we all know, here in town. And so it's not always possible for the buyer to be there. But I
Right.
really, really encourage, sorry, you can tell I'm near an airport. I really, really encourage that the agents are there. If no one's there and no one can be there, then let's set up a three-way call. Let's get in front of that report together as a group and spend 15 or 20 minutes addressing anything that anybody has questions about. I go back to, in my mind, a report's scary. And I don't want that to be our only interaction, because in a report, as for home inspectors, that's my CYA, right? That's where I legally have to cover myself. And I have to say, hey, here's what I observed and here's what I recommend. And here's arrows documenting it. But on a one-on-one, we can have a conversation about, yeah, I see this, but this isn't a big deal.
Mhm.
Or, yeah, I see this and it's a $10 fix. It's super important that we have those conversations. Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your report system. So,
Okay.
every home inspector, there's different platforms out there. Some
Yeah.
of them are easier to understand than others. And like you said, you can get the little red hammer next to something and you go down to the key symbol and you understand that what that means. Some report systems, you can press one button and it will help you generate a request for repairs report. So what does your report system do? How do you get that information into the client and the realtor's hands? And what what interfacing platform are you using? What is available to us?
Great question. So I'm on Spectora, and Spectora is, yay, I agree. It's the best. It's the high end. It costs the most amount of money for us as business owners, but there's nothing that works better than the Spectora. So for those who haven't been involved with Spectora, we're talking about one of my reports is probably 150 pages, 300 or 400 pictures. It's very millennial based. I've got drone footage going and links back to websites for more information if they want it. I will say, don't print it. Do not print it. It's so many pages, but it lives in the cloud. And so at any point you click on the link that you have and it takes you right to it. It was designed by real estate agents. And so it's got you guys in mind. And you are referring to the opportunity for the build tool. And simply what that is that you click on the recommendations that I've made that you want to address. And then it takes those recommendations, puts it into a PDF form with my pictures, my verbiage, my arrows, and then you can email that off to the selling agent right away. And so it takes a lot of that headache and then skips that step for you.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it works is it brings forth all of your recommendations, and then I get to click just a little check mark next to what I want it to generate in the report. Like if there's things about carpet, we're not worried about that because the carpet's getting ripped out. I simply don't check those boxes.
That is true. And
Okay.
there's an extra step in there that's involved that you have the option to state also to click off what you'd want to do about it. Hey, we're looking for a $500 credit, or we want you to resolve this situation. Those things are in there so that it puts it all together for you. So yeah, it's a great program.
So at the end of the day, I have the ability of quickly and efficiently using your words, the professional, instead of me trying to practice law and type or reinterpret what you said.
Exactly.
Ah,
Exactly.
big bonus,
And
guys, big bonus. I am like risk management crazy. One of the things that like my hot buttons. And we all know we shouldn't be practicing law. So every time you create verbiage, whether it's on a contract and you're putting something in additional terms or conditions, be very careful the verbiage that you're creating, because at that point you could be considered practicing law. So this gives us an opportunity with ease and efficiency to use the home inspector's words. The burden stays on the home inspector. You're all of a sudden don't interface yourself as the expert by providing the information or requesting the information. It's still on the inspector's back, which is where you want it to live. That's outside of our wheelhouse.
yes.
Right? I love it. So tell me, are you noticing anything on the streets right now that we should be aware of? I mean, like the only thing that comes to my mind is, of course, we all remember if you were in the industry or if you happen to own a home that had high tech, obviously that was like a big to do. And we have in the recent years had areas in town where properties were sinking. There were some instances up in Anthem or anything like that. But is there anything that you're aware of that was like a hot button in the city right now that we should have our eyes peeled for?
No, we're not running into any kind of hot items. What we're seeing right now overall is a push for as is homes. And you're seeing that as well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that from our standpoint, the business has changed. It used to be that you would use a home inspection as a negotiating tool. And now you're using it as a protective mechanism to make sure that the client isn't buying something that's, putting them in over their head. So from that sense, we're seeing a big change on what we're looking for and what we're seeing. It's also an opportunity for a seller, if they have a home that they know they've got issues with, to outlay that house to get rid of that risk. And so we want to make sure that we are doing the home inspections here in town. I know a lot of cities nationally have gotten away from the home inspection as a negotiating tool, but I would recommend highly that even if you use that you still do the home inspection and make sure that you get a licensed qualified professional in there to take a look and to get you back that information.
Absolutely. I think there's very few buyers, very few instances when a home inspection would not be prudent, right?
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
so I always love to get feedback from like ancillary service providers to what we do every day, the boots on the street, such like yourself. Are you noticing any difference in a slowdown or anything of that nature as far as request for inspections? Because there's
I-
all kinds of news out there, right? All kinds of news.
Yeah, we're not seeing it in our company where we've been blessed. It's been every month has gotten busier and busier. And I think that the word is snowballing on the kind of work that we're doing. So on our side, it's been great. We brought on 2 new inspectors this year to keep up with the demand. And so for us, no, it continues to get busier and busier, which we love. So yeah.
Good. Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is that, we still have a shortage of inventory. So regardless
Sure.
of where interest rates go, we are enjoying a couple hundred more houses on the market each week than we have been in previous months. However, a problem like that doesn't correct overnight, right?
Right.
So hopefully we'll all stay very fruitful for at least the remainder of the year. I think that things will probably still be at a pretty steady pace.
Yeah,
So
we can hope so for sure.
So Jason, what else can you impart on these agents of this energy community to help us be better, to help us work with our home inspectors better? What nuggets of wisdom can you pass along to us?
I think that the key to all of this, and it's what you guys do, everybody who's a realtor is almost always an extrovert. They're outgoing, they're communicators. And I think that if we continue that process of communicating with each other, making us aware, getting us the SRPD in advance helps a lot. Being there on site with the home inspector and making sure that you're hearing what they're saying, but also having the opportunity to be involved in that discussion. Yeah, go ahead.
I have never even considered sending an inspector the SRPD.
Oh, no.
I
Please, I ask for it every time. I want to see it. I want to know what it gives us the opportunity to go take a look. So if you tell me you had some kind of plumbing issue and it's been resolved,
Mhm.
great. Where is it? Let's go take a peek.
Phenomenal. I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. So I love that. Is there anything else that we're a tad bit ahead of schedule, but I feel like we've covered everything. We'll open up for questions. I see Cody's got his hand up.
I wanted to throw up real quick and then I'll take Cody's question, but I want to let you guys know that I do a lot of classes in town with bigger groups. And I know that we've got some bigger groups probably on this watching it. And I'm happy to come out and I like to do about a 30-minute presentation and we can cover any topic. Some of the topics we've done in the past throughout town have been what's cosmetic and what's not cosmetic. And it's an opportunity for us to talk about, hey, when stucco cracking looks like this, it's not a big deal. But when it reaches this level, then we need to get some more information, those type of
The
things.
nickel rule does that still work?
That's it. Yeah, you nailed it. 1/8 of an inch, which is the size of a nickel. Yep, you got
So
it.
filters, you just got
Yep.
a great tip. Take a nickel with you to every home inspection.
We're doing one right now. You mentioned Kitech a second ago, but we're doing one right now throughout several of the offices in town on plumbing. And it's entitled Don't Let the Plumbing Stink Up the Deal. And it's an opportunity for us to kind of just say, hey, here's some issues we're going to find with plumbing. Please don't lose a deal over this. This is important information. We're going to get the client, but it's not a big deal worth of information. So
Well, I personally just canceled a transaction of 4 houses on 5 acres out in Pahrump. And the houses were the plumbing is literally like PVC pipes,
oh
like
no.
landscaping pipes. It's
Oh
hilarious.
boy.
That was a little more than my buyer wanted to take on. However, well worth an $800 inspection, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
save a ton of money on the back end. And that's just something that's not visible to us while we're actually looking at the property. Okay,
Sure.
so we are going to open it up for questions. Cody, I will unmute you. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, so actually Jason just answered what I was going to ask because when I teach my contracts classes, we go over the part in the RPA that talks about what things are appropriate and not appropriate to ask for in a request for repairs, which most realtors are not even aware is in the RPA.
Right.
And this whole concept of cosmetic versus material and all those kinds of things, Jason, we need to get you to come do that presentation for our Realtor Toolbox series, because I think that's something that would really be great for our group.
Sure.
I do have a different question, and that is that I think realtors have a really a misunderstanding about how the inspection report can be relied upon. Um, I know that when an inspector does their schooling to get their license, this is one of the topics of discussion. Can you give us a little bit of flavor of how much can a buyer rely upon that report? Because I think some buyers take it as an absolute, and in my experience, I'm not sure it's quite an absolute.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic, and it's one that we could probably go on for quite a while, but I'm going to give you the short answer of it, and hopefully it covers what you're looking for. So the short answer of it is that a home inspection is a visual inspection. So as an inspector, I can only see what I can see. I can't see inside the walls. I can't see underneath the foundation. I can't see some of the plumbing, right? I can't see some of the irrigation. So we have some very strong limitations of what we're seeing. And I think what you're referring to is often we get a client who says, hey, the home inspector signed off on it. I bought a perfect house. Nothing will ever go wrong. And unfortunately, that's not, they're missing the point of a home inspection. The home inspection is to gather information for them, give them as much as we possibly can, and then be there to answer questions and go over issues as we come across. Is that what you were looking for there, Cody? I don't know if I answered it specifically for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've just seen some situations where there was an inspection done, didn't find an issue. Later, this issue popped up. I saw some litigation happen, and the inspector
Sure.
did not have liability because the inspector had done their job and had shown what they had seen in the report. And I just think that's good for realtors to understand generally how that works.
Yeah, and it's challenging. If I'm there in the morning and a pipe bursts after I leave, I'm not able to see that. So we're limited to the amount of time that we're there. We're only there for a couple of hours, and we're not going to be able to find all the future problems that could potentially arise. But we might be able to come across some information that'll assist you in being prepared for some of those issues. So back to what Pam was talking about earlier with the Kitech, or if we went into polybutene, or if we were to, find some sealant that was missing on some of the fixtures. Those are things that we can assist you in making the home a better place moving forward, but we're never going to be able to avoid all future issues or see all things that could possibly happen for the house. So you're right in that a lot of our reporting, we cover liability and we talk about things in our language that is, drawn up by lawyers, that says things about, hey, here's what we were able to see and here's what we're not able to see. And so we do end up covering ourselves quite a bit on that side, but it's what you have to do as a business and as a home inspection business specifically.
And I love that you said it's a visual inspection, right? Because it's about what you can see and what you can't see. And aren't you even by law limited to the fact that you're not allowed to move personal property, right? So if there's a couch up against the wall and there are electrical outlets behind that couch, you're physically unable to check those electrical outlets unless the homeowner would move that couch for you.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's one of the things you can do as a buying agent is you can reach out to that selling agent and ask for a little bit of assistance. So we take the couch metaphor a little further, and let's say I show up and we've got the gas off or a lock on the electrical panel. Those
Mhm.
are things now that I can't deal with. I can't fix. I can't turn the gas on if it's off. I can't, well, I can, but we're not supposed to cut the lock off on the electrical panel without permission. So it's another step that is limiting us. And so one of the things that selling agents and buying agents can do is that back to that communication, we can all chat and say, hey, we know we've got a home inspection. Can we make sure that the attic access is in the closet is clear and we can get a ladder up there so that we can get to that? Or, those type of things for sure. Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about, does your company provide re-inspections? And if so, what is the cost?
Sure, that's a great question. So our reinspection cost is $150.
Okay.
Um, what I will tell you though is if you're a good client and we work together often, I'm part of your team and you're part of my team, and you need me to go back out, we'll swing back by. It's not a big deal. It's not an issue. If you're, hey, the gas was off and we need you to swing back by and check on all the gas items, we can do that. But to answer your question, the cost is $150 traditionally.
Mhm.
Obviously, I have a lot of agents that I work with on a weekly basis, and we're happy to be part of that team and and
Well,
make
that's
that work.
awesome. And your time is certainly worth it. So I know that on my team, it's all dependent on the buyer, but just a tip for you guys that are out there listening, you know, if, let's say I've got a first time home buyer and it's really important to them that the house be in good condition. They're not looking for monetary credit. They're not going to be able to afford a $7,000 air conditioner in the first year after they buy this house. So the inspection is just that important. And we know we're going to be looking for repairs. I will put in the offer who's to pay the reinspection fee. And you could do that right in that other spot on the fees. And, you know, if you know the fee is going to be $150, you could just put seller to pay reinspection fee, if applicable, $150. And then you're taking care, you know, taking care of that right off the front end, and everybody's aware. It's all about transparency and, you know, who the client is and if it's even necessary. But we certainly want you to get paid for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Do we have any other questions out there? I saw Steve come off.
Pam,
Hi, Steve.
yeah, one of the things that we hear sometimes from agents is that there's a complaint that there's something that the inspector will point out, and it's really, really simple. They say, well, why doesn't he fix that? Why didn't he just take care of it? Well,
Sure.
the answer is you can't touch that stuff, can you?
Yeah,
You-
that's a great question, Steve. I appreciate it. Oh, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying the liability goes to you if you touch it and something goes wrong.
Yeah, and I let's be honest, I wish I had enough time in my day to walk around with a screwdriver and tighten every screw that I saw that was loose, or had a, you know, a thing of sealant in my pocket and could take care of a lot of those things. But you're right. I take on the liability as soon as I start to touch it or to work on it, and so I'm not allowed to. So, you know, inspectors aren't allowed to work on it afterwards either. Our standards of practice here in the state of Nevada says that any home that I've inspected, I can't go back and work on for a 1-year period. So I've got inspectors on my team who are licensed contractors, and they can't say, hey, I found a problem, and by the way, for this amount of money, I'll fix it. So it protects the clients and it protects us as well. So it's a great question. Yeah.
Awesome. And just so you guys know, Jason's information was in the Monday Matters as vendor of the week. We always like to highlight a vendor of the week. So we were happy to put you in there with all of your contact information. So if you need to find Jason's information, you can find it that way. And is there anything else? I think we're doing pretty good on time. It's 10:29. We nailed it.
Thank you, Pam. You were
Look at us
terrific.
go. Lacey's going to be so proud of us. We're ending on time. So I hope this information was valuable to you guys out there. Don't underestimate the importance of a home inspection. It will help you mitigate any phone calls after the deal, and put your deals in really safe hands like Jason. We really appreciate your coming on and imparting your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Pam, and thank you, Cody. And I was being honest and about the idea of coming out and teaching classes. If anybody would like me to come out and spend some time, there's no charge for that. I love being in front of people, and it's a great opportunity to get everybody a little bit more educated one-on-one. So happy to do it.
Awesome. We could always use more education, and the industry changes so fast. When you think you know something, you don't. So, all right, guys.